好，这是我们的结账单，一共是5490。
然后呢？
是微信支付还是？
不是
刷卡。
这儿呢买单呢，找错人了。
结账单啥意思啊？我给他呀。
什么玩意儿啥意思？给我干啥呀？我一口没吃，妹妹。那黑心冒大和牛成片上，那不你点的吗？又大龙虾哐哐炫，我一口没吃，我买单。
不给你给谁呀？
为啥给我呀？理由是啥呀？
男的跟女吃饭，男的不买单吗？
男的咋的？男的该死啊！男的是冤种，男的得让你白嫖啊！你这名，你今天能说出来我叫啥名，这单我都买。你认识我吗？
你不买单，你等谁买呢？你好意思？
我怎么我该死？我欠你的。
你他妈是不是买不起？
你饭可以乱吃，你话不能乱讲，听懂没？你说谁买不起啊？他点的所有的东西，我妹妹是不是在楼下跟我连台呢？所有的东西他点的，我再要一份，能明白我啥意思不？你不说我吃不起吗？是你不配，你值5490吗？你长那肚子了吗？你能吃了5490的饭吗？能消化得了吗？找他买单啊，跟我没关系。
好的。
那你啥意思？真的？
哥，你能不能把这单买？
我买不了那个。
为啥？
我理由说的非常明白了，咱俩都不认识，你哐哐一顿点，我买啥？我跟你富二代呢，他妈点菜，那啥家庭在今天敢这么花？
买不了，不是这太尴尬了，我也不能，那咋整？我买不了。
不是我没有买单的理由啊，咱俩相亲，你也没相中我，咱俩今天牵手成功了行，我买，咱也没牵手成功啊，对不？
不是这在这，那咱俩牵手成功了。
咱俩咋的？
咱俩牵手成功了。
就为一顿饭马上就牵手成功了，至于吗？
那让
家里人朋友谁过来帮买一下不行吗？
那我要是能买，我还犯得着跟你说这些吗？
那你现在是啥意思？向香花低头了？
那你买一下呗。
那你别牵手成功啊！完了我买完单一会儿你骂我大傻逼，骂我冤种
不
啊！
能咋的都行。
那我买完单你今晚跟我走啊？走不？我说咋就咋地啊？还咋的？牵手成功你就是我女朋友了现在。
你说咋地就咋地。
那你现在是我女朋友啊？
可以。
啊？
可以。
因为一顿饭爱一个就是马上就对这人没感觉都能。
那你不买单我咋整啊？那我还出去了。你能不能买一下
咋的都行。说好了。
说好。
我这可有视频。
说好了。
你但凡在这里边你要反悔，你看我咋整就完了。我现在就问你，你是我女朋友了不？牵手成功没？
成功了。
成功了。啊，行，那报这腰不犯毛病吧？走吧，女朋友。走吧，买单来。你告诉他上我那桌，吃完咱一起走。
一边给我打电话，一边哭诉，说自己相信被骗了。
Just now, a girl called me while crying on the phone, extremely emotional. She told me that she was tricked during a blind date. The guy invited her to dinner, but ran off halfway through, leaving her feeling both wronged and furious. Since I was the one who introduced the two, I immediately called the guy to understand the situation. This girl was born in 1995 and works as a teacher. Not long ago, I introduced her to a guy born in 1992 who works in a public institution. Honestly, the two of them were quite well matched in many aspects. Their first meeting went fairly well. They both added each other on WeChat and chatted smoothly. Very soon, they arranged their first official dinner date. On the day of the date, the guy asked the girl what she wanted to eat. The girl mentioned a restaurant she liked, saying it had good ambience and great food. The guy said he respected her choice and replied, "Sure, let's go to the one you like." However, as soon as they arrived at the restaurant, the guy started to feel something was off. The place was extremely upscale in decor, definitely not the kind of place a regular working guy like him would normally go to. When the menu was handed over, his heart sank. The prices were outrageously high. The guy's heart skipped a beat. Although he felt a lot of pressure, he decided to bite the bullet. He thought, since this is a blind date, maybe it could lead to a relationship. Even if it costs a few hundred yuan, it's worth it. After all, the girl was actually his type. So, the girl began ordering, and she picked several dishes that weren't cheap. But before all the dishes had even arrived, the girl got a call from her best friend, who said she was nearby. The girl didn't hesitate at all and directly invited her friend to join them. The guy felt it would be impolite to refuse and thought to himself, at most, it'll cost 1,000 yuan. If it works out, it'll be worth it. What he didn't expect was that once the best friend arrived, the whole vibe changed. The girl spent the entire meal chatting with her friend, almost completely ignoring the guy. Her responses to him were perfunctory, and her attitude turned cold. The guy felt increasingly uncomfortable and emotionally sidelined. So he quietly messaged one of his buddies, asking him to call. When he picked up the call, the guy deliberately acted and said, "You can't find the entrance. Wait there, I'll come out to get you." Then he turned to the girl and said, "My friend is about to arrive, but he can't find the door. I'll step out and guide him." The girl agreed. The guy walked out, found a waiter, and said, "We're going Dutch. I'll pay for my part first. As for the rest of the bill, please ask those two ladies inside." Then the guy left. About 20 minutes later, the girl texted him asking why he hadn't come back. The guy replied that something urgent came up with his friend, so he had to leave, and suggested meeting another day. The girl immediately got anxious and asked, "Then since you left, who's going to pay the bill?" The guy replied, "I've already paid for my share. The rest is yours." At this point, the girl's tone suddenly softened. She explained that her best friend was just there to help her evaluate him, to see what her future boyfriend might be like. She also said she had a good impression of him and asked if he could come back. Before she could even finish speaking, the guy hung up and blocked her. Afterward, I told the girl the entire story, from beginning to end. All I could say was, stop always trying to take advantage of others. A meal might not cost much, but if you trade your dignity for food, in the end, you'll be the one who suffers the loss. Don't you all agree with this?
教你们一招绝杀，你但凡跟人相亲吃饭，买单的时候你就主动的买，大声的喊。
Sisters, today I must teach you a killer move for blind dates. Every time you go out to eat with a man for a blind date, no matter who initiated it, when it comes to paying the bill, you must take the initiative and loudly call the waiter, "Hey, bill please." Why? Because if the man is a real man with a sense of responsibility, he will definitely stop you right away. "No, no, no, I'll pay for this. How can I let a girl pay?" At this moment, you should follow up and praise him. Praise him for being generous, gentlemanly, and graceful, and you can also smile and say, "Aya, I thought I shouldn't let you spend money the first time we met, but I didn't expect you to be so considerate. Thank you so much." Just be straightforward and elevate his act of paying, so that he's left with no way out and ends up definitely paying the bill. It's not that we can't split the bill, it's that some men pretend to be generous at the table, saying things like, "Order whatever you want, eat whatever you feel like," acting like they're rich and carefree, but then after the meal, they turn around and ask the girl to transfer money to split the cost. To deal with this kind of fake generosity, we must firmly hold him accountable for treating us from beginning to end. It's best to even send a WeChat message after the meal to thank him specially. "Thank you for treating me to the meal today, it was great getting to know you." Completely block his path to asking us for money afterward. If you want to act generous, then you better be ready to pay the price for it. Don't think you can show off and still expect us girls to pay ourselves. There's no such easy deal. Of course, if you find that he doesn't even try to fight over paying the bill and just watches you pay with peace of mind, then it's simple. Afterwards, we'll ask this man to go Dutch. When dealing with men, you have to know how to set up the situation, and we must hold the initiative in our own hands. Also, if we really do want to treat him ourselves, that's totally fine too. But remember to say it out loud, "This one's on me." Say it loudly, loud enough for the whole restaurant to hear. What we want is momentum and presence. We girls also need to show some backbone. Some sisters are just too silly. After a man treats her, she feels bad and secretly transfers the money back afterward, trying to give him face. This kind of behavior is exactly what encourages men to live off women. Remember, whoever takes the initiative, takes control. What we want is a sense of dominance. After a man pays, he might talk behind your back and say you ate for free. But if he splits the bill with you, you'll feel disrespected and uncomfortable. So whether it's him treating or going Dutch, we must strike first and take the lead. The act of paying must be initiated by us. Even if we let the man pay, we have to make him fight to pay, so it doesn't seem like we girls are taking advantage, but rather that he volunteered and insisted on paying himself. Ultimately, we're not fighting over who pays for the meal. We're fighting for who has more dignity and who holds more face in this date. Got it?
相亲遇到抠门男的几率真的比你普通生活中要遇到抠门男的几率多出。
The chances of running into a stingy guy in a blind date setting are truly 10 times, or even more, higher than in your everyday life. We haven't just heard this from one female member. Quite a few women have complained about similar experiences. For example, there was once a female member who went on a blind date with a guy she met through an external platform. The two of them chatted fairly well, and they agreed on a time and place to meet. The woman suggested, "How about we go have hot pot at Hey de Leo together?" To her surprise, as soon as the guy heard this, he immediately backed off and said, "Forget it. Let's not go to Hey de Leo for now. Why don't we walk around the snack street instead? It'll be a nice stroll." This one sentence made the woman instantly understand what he meant. Clearly, he thought Hey de Leo hot pot was too expensive. A hot pot meal for two would cost at least over 300 yuan, but if they just went to the snack street and grabbed a few street snacks, 10 or 20 yuan would be enough. So the woman directly replied, "Then never mind, let's not meet up this time." Later, when she shared this with us, she said helplessly, she had never seen a guy like this before. You're already agreeing to go on a blind date and meet formally with a woman, yet you're not even willing to pay for a meal? And it's not like this woman was the kind who insisted the guy must pay for everything. She also understood that since they hadn't confirmed a relationship yet, splitting the bill was totally reasonable. But the key issue was, the guy from the very beginning showed an attitude of, "I don't want to spend money, I don't want to invest." That made the woman feel extremely disappointed and totally turned off. And what's becoming more and more obvious now is, the more well-off, high-income and seemingly high-quality these men are, the more ruthlessly realistic they become, the less willing they are to spend money easily. On the one hand, they hope to find a woman who's beautiful, successful in her career, and also capable of being a good wife and mother. On the other hand, they're unbelievably calculating, like they have to wait until the woman puts in a ton of effort, proves herself worthy enough, before they're willing to take a few yuan out of their pocket. This mindset is just incredibly off-putting. So why do men like this even go out to find a partner through blind dates? Just go home and cling tightly to your pathetic little bit of money. I really can't stand men who are too stingy to spend money on women.
我刚刚相亲吃完饭，气死我了。
I just went on a blind date and after the meal I was absolutely furious. This woman, well, she's the same age as me, we're both 35, but she brought along a female friend and she didn't inform me about this in advance. So, when I saw the two of them walk into the restaurant together, I was a bit surprised. Since I was the one treating them to dinner, we went to eat roast duck. Originally I was planning to order just half a duck, but her friend insisted on ordering a whole one. On top of that, she also ordered spicy shrimp balls, spicy chicken. Basically, her friend ordered a whole table full of dishes. In the end, I ended up spending over 800 yuan. I was really angry. During the meal, her friend kept asking me why I've been single for 8 years. Was it because I had some kind of health problem? Was I not normal? I felt her friend was extremely rude, because I don't even know you, right? Besides, this blind date was arranged by my family during the New Year holiday. To be honest, it was just for show, no need to make such a big deal out of it. Just this one blind date today, and there goes another 800 yuan of mine. Why do I even bother going on blind dates? I might as well spend that money on a new pair of shoes for myself. This is completely meaningless.
Why do so many women always feel that men they meet on blind dates are especially stingy? Actually, you need to look at this issue from a different angle. First of all, blind dating is a form of social interaction that happens quite frequently. It's very unlikely that a guy is only meeting you. He may have just gone on a date with someone a few days ago, and now he's seeing someone else again. According to traditional values, it's considered proper for the man to pay when meeting a woman for the first time. But think about it. If he's meeting several women in 1 month, and he has to pay every time, how could the expenses not add up? You're not the one footing the bill, so naturally you don't feel the financial pressure. That's why, honestly, you're not in a position to just label someone as stingy. At a deeper level, it's not that the guy is really unwilling to spend money. He just doesn't want to invest in someone before knowing whether you actually like him or not. To put it plainly, if he spends a few hundred yuan on a massage, at least the masseur can help him relax for several hours. If he uses the same amount to play video games or buy a game cartridge, that cartridge permanently belongs to him. But if he spends that money to treat a woman to dinner, and the blind date turns out well, then that's great. But if, after the meal, the two of them don't find each other attractive, then that money is basically flushed down the drain, completely wasted with zero return. You tell me, how could a man not be cautious? If it were you going on a blind date, how much would you be willing to spend for a first meeting? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next one.